But again, yeah, mute unless you're talking, just so we have good little background noise. Preferably everybody on video so that we can interact. So unmute for questions. We'd love to have more questions here. That'll be beneficial for everybody, and we'll get the maximum out of the workshop today. But again, back to what I was saying, for everybody, if you want to give me your business information, and I can do some analysis of that online if you have the gumption to do that, and let me take a look at that. We can look at your business and give you some very direct feedback. The other thing, you should have all received, if you're on our list for registering, an email that gave you the link. We probably got a lot of emails that we reminded you profusely to make sure you knew what the link was to the webinar today. But at the very last email you got, there was a link for setting up a time. It said, don't click this link yet, but now you can click the link and set up a time. And I'll be reminding you guys of this and putting it in the chat as we go, to set up a time for me to one-on-one work with you on your particular Google business profile. So some of you may not even have a Google business profile yet, and I'll help you with setting that up. So either way, and no matter what you've done with your Google business profile or what you do with it today, I'll spend 15 minutes with you one-on-one on working on that, and I'll show you a couple other things we'll do for you as well. But there's a link there. I recommend everybody go to that link now that's in the email that you were sent. If you can't find that, look in your spam. And it's going to be the second link, not the one for register or signed up for this, but the second link. You can click on that right now. And no matter what your business, we can help you get a more robust Google business profile. Now, there's a lot of things in Google business profile. I'm going to go kind of jump into the big picture down to the little nuts and bolts and details. So our goal on these, and we do one of these, quite a few of you guys have been on these in our past month. Every month we do on the third Wednesday, we want to work on the big picture of marketing, and we're trying to do one key element. Last month we did Google and Facebook and how to not throw money away with Google and Facebook. Truthfully, today's element is going to be about that as well, in a backwards way. A little bit, I'll explain. And we want to do one key element, and our goal is really to have a 50% increase in your revenue or your results, or whatever those results need to be, based on your improving what we did at each one of these. So ideally, if you come to each one every month, we do at the same time, unless one of them shows up on Thanksgiving or Christmas or one of the major holidays, we're going to do the third Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. So we're going to do one key element. If you can kind of keep, catching these, we do a replay of it. It's better to do it live. We're going to work on all kinds of different things. Here's some people we work with so you can read about us. And the big picture, if you haven't got your website straightened out, we'll help you with that too. That's really a fundamental thing for everything we're talking about today. And this next thing, the Google business profile, our actual topic for today, is kind of number two. And there's a lot of other things that we can help you with. These are all some of the topics that we've done. And you can ask me and email me. You've got my email address for the replay of these webinars that we've done as well to help you. Okay, website. I'm going to talk about this real quick to see how the big picture fits in. The website that you have, if a couple of you guys I know don't have a website yet, but your website is kind of your fundamental foundation for all your marketing. Google Business Profile is almost like the number two thing. If your website's set up really well and you've got all kinds of stuff that few of you guys I've gotten on to put more content on the internet and get a big broad base of a website. If you don't have that done right, then all the money you spend online or all the work you do offline, people will look you up and they won't find you. If you have a small website, they'll find somebody else. Google Business Profile is very complementary to that. It's kind of your next level of marketing. We see a lot of people that spend tons of money, or this is money, and a lot of this is time, and sometimes this is money too. Money and time. And if they don't have these two things, the Google Business Profile set up right and their website with a lot of stuff on it and a lot of the right stuff on it, then a lot of time and money gets thrown away. So that's why we make a big deal out of setting this stuff up first. And I'll explain this in a little more detail right now. So the reason the Google Business Profile, this is what we're working on today. And why is it a big deal? Well, it's important to think about this whenever you do a Google search. So whenever you do a Google search, there's 3 areas you most of the time see. And Google changes this all the time, and it'll depend a little bit on what you're searching for. If you're searching for academic information, it may look different, and in some scenarios, it looks different. But most of the time, when you're searching for a business, which you guys, I don't know a couple of you well yet, so some of you guys are new, but for most of you, I don't think any of you are in academia. But when you're searching for a business, this top section is going to be sponsored or AdWords. They'll say ad in a little box. That means they're AdWords. That's what we talked about last month. And this may or may not exist. If nobody's buying ads, then this won't exist. For most of you, that exists. Then there's going to be a map section. And almost always there's 3 listings. And then there's a listing down here with a bunch of stuff. And this is called your organic listing. And this is all the free listings. And what are all these based on? It's important to review. Some of you guys, maybe this is redundant for you. This one here is is all the information that comes out of your Google business profile. Now, this used to be called, just to make sure there's hopefully less confusion. Maybe some of you guys know the other names that this was called. Anybody know the other names this was called recently? Just so I get somebody out of not muting for a moment. No? Well, it was called Google My Business, Google Local Places, Google Plus. That was a kind of a combination of this and something else, or they were trying to copy Facebook. There's been about 5 different names of Google Business Profile. So it may even be something different in 6 months. Google changes, like they feel like they're so important, I guess, that they can change everything all the time. That'll come up. That'll be very important to remember later. But Google Business Profile is where the information comes for this section. So if you're not spending money, or if you are spending money on AdWords, and that comes up here, which we do recommend before you spend money on Facebook, then this map section is going to come up in front of where all your website results come from. This content is because you have lots of stuff on your website. This you need to have. This is important. And AdWords is recommended, but if you don't show up here, you're not going to look as professional as other businesses. And this means you need to be in the top 3. Now, some of you might think a couple things. You might think you're in the top 3 because when you search for your business, you may show up. But when we look at your business, you may not show up. What do I mean by that? Well, Google gives you results based on your information and who you are and your preferences. So if I run a business, let's say I'm a plumber and I run a business and I search online for plumbers all the time just to check where my ranking is, Google may show me my business because it knows I'm interested in that business. But the general public, they don't search for plumbers all the time. They only search for plumbers when their toilet's broken. So when their toilet's broken, that's when they search for plumbers. Their preferences aren't the same as mine. So it may show a whole different set of plumbers. So how do we know whether we're actually ranking well or not? That's where we have to do special search analysis. So don't get too worried about what I'm saying now. What that means is, for you to get ranked higher in the top 3, and you may have seen our emails, that's called the 3-pack. You have to do the stuff we're going to talk about next, which is fill out Google very robustly, put a lot of information in the Google business profile. So it's different from your website, it's a different project, and it's different from spending money on AdWords. They're unrelated. So we'll go through that. That's what we're going to spend the next 30, 40 minutes on. Please ask questions as we go through this. And it probably, if you've done this before, it may look different than you've done before. If what I show you today, I'll just give you a little heads up warning. When you look at it after the webinar, it may look different on yours, because that's kind of how Google rolls. They experiment with different platforms. It's very frustrating sometimes for people because they show different profiles and different interfaces to different people. But so you want to make sure you ask questions and get the idea of what we're talking about, just in case something looks a little different when you go look for it next time. Okay, everybody good? Everybody hear me okay? It's good so far. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs up. That's why I like to see. Okay, so why is it a big deal? Because I'll show you a couple examples in a second. So key points to basics. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to just switch to a new screen here. And let's see here. I hope I'm getting the right screen. Yeah. Okay. So you should all be seeing the login page. You'll see a couple of things in red. You can ignore those a little bit. We're doing some experiments here. But to log in, I'll just do a new screen. To log into Google Business Profile, you generally go, well, not generally, you go to business. So write this down. And by the way, make sure you set the appointments up. I'm going to bug you guys afterwards. Click on the link on the email and set that appointment up so I can help you walk through this for yourself directly. So I'll walk you through this one-on-one as well. But business.google.com. And you're not going to get this. I don't want to log out of mine because I've got everything set up, but you're going to get a login. If you have not, because I've already got these accounts set up, it's going to show me my accounts. But if you don't have an account set up, it'll walk you through. Here I go. It'll walk you through how to get your account set up. If you have not got your account set up, that's not what this would be a whole nother webinar. So if you don't have your account set up at all, we'll have to walk you through that directly. Otherwise, I'd spend the whole time in the next hour walking you through the account setup. Is most of you got some account set up and you know how to access this? Yes. So google.business.com or business.google.com. If you have not got it set up, I will promise you it's relatively easy. And I kind of hate saying that for technical stuff, because I know when people say, hey, it's relatively easy, it's easy to set up, then you get into it and there's problems, right? So that's why we're giving you the extra time a little bit with me. And if I can help you get set up, that's fine. And maybe we'll spend our time doing that. So this is what it looks like. You can see your profile from here. That profile is going to look like, let's see, I'm lucky I've got a couple. You generally can only have one, but your profile and setting up is going to have all these different options. But let's kind of back up a little bit here. And I want to show you what the Google search is. So if you look at the Google search, and I did karate, and this is one of my businesses, a martial arts school. Some of you guys know that. And if we look at the listing, I filtered out sponsored listings, even though I do have an AdWords ad running. So I filtered those out for this listing, and Yelp happened to pop up above because I don't spend any money on Yelp, but my school shows up here. My school shows up here. This is for a different reason, a different seminar. I'll touch on it in a little bit later. But this is how you can get listed up in Yelp. So that's all free. I don't have to pay anything for that. And I'm above the map. But here's that map listing. It's either going to show up like this, or it's going to show up with the map on the right side. Notice how sometimes it's different. And you can see mine is listed here. It's going to say open soon, 9 a.m. This is because I pulled this up earlier today. It was before 9 a.m. So I made sure I had it ready for you guys. But it's going to say open. Notice how this Infinity Taekwondo says closed. And I'm going to show you a little thing about that. Then you can see my school shows up first and everything right there. All right. So that's what your listing would look like. One thing real important about that open and closed. So I'm going to refresh this page. And you can see how it says open here. So we're going to go to the next page here. And this is what your listing should look like. So I'm going to go through some of the basic stuff about what the listing looks like, and then how and what you should change, and then some more advanced stuff as we go along. Please, guys, ask me some questions. For some of you guys, maybe this is a little too basic. So a couple things. I'm going to go from top to bottom. Photos. Notice I've got 64 photos here. Many times when we see this, there's not enough photos. So first thing you want to do is make sure you put a lot of photos in. Photos should be, you can see how this main photo, you can tag and we'll show you how to do this, but we've tagged the photo that looks like the outside of the business. This was a professionally done one that, you know, has a nice sunset and everything, and it shows the actual location. This is the business right here with the really nice, you know, lighted background. Really, very often what we'll see here is just kind of a random hodgepodge of sometimes tournament photos, or sometimes for a financial business, it'll just be the person in their suit. Well, that doesn't really say anything. What do you want to do is it important for your business that they find you and they can locate you? If it's a brick and mortar business where you want them to come locate you, then you want to have a location type one. If it's a business that you want them to feel like they should be comfortable with you, and it's more of one that you do over Zoom, like some of you guys on the call, then it might be important to have something that would be a comfort type thing. That might be you, or it might be you behind a desk, or it might be you working with somebody. Probably not a stock photo if you can avoid it. These stock photos are not as good as your own photos. Okay, so it's better to have your own photos because Google indexes these, and Google will rank your listing higher. Remember, our goal is to be in that top 3. So just like your website, our goal is in the top 3. So that's one thing. Second thing is your name. Make sure you're branding correctly with your name. Often we'll see these and they won't have the correct name of the business. Now, in this case, my business is Karate Built Martial Arts. This is, again, one of mine, but we work with lots of other businesses. But there's other brand names we use. So we put this in here as additional names, but your primary name should be the first one that's there. Now, going down the line, again, I'll show you the content and then we'll come back to how to edit it. Make sure your address is correct. If your address is correct, and when you look at your map, so here in the map area, if I zoom in on this, you want to make sure that this pin is located in the right place. Sometimes the address is correct, but the pin's in the wrong place. And if you do have that, then you can go into Google and there's a section where you can move the pin to the correct place. You want that pin to be as accurate as possible because many people use Google Maps. Okay. Next thing, open. This is one that I want to have a little speech about this. Your opening hours for almost all your businesses should be the hours that you're wanting phone calls to happen, not the hours that you're physically in the facility. And it's also not the hours that you're necessarily going to be live answering the phone. So in other words, what I like actually here, if you look at this business, and this business, if somebody saw this right now, they would say, oh, this business is open. Actually, they're not going to say that because I didn't refresh the screen here. Let me refresh it and do this. What they're going to say is this business is open right now. Nice green letters that say open. They're going to say these guys are closed. And then these guys happen to be open. That's okay. But between me and the Infinity guys, who are they going to pick to call? They're going to assume they're going to call me because I'm open. So you want to make sure that your hours are listed as when you'd like them to call. Now, if your business is more likely to have them drive in. Let's say you were a restaurant and nobody ever calls you really. You're not really a restaurant, a reservation taking business. You're more of a drive-in when they're going to, drive into you to get order in the drive-through. Then that you may make a different decision about your hours. So it's just up to you. But for almost everybody that I know here pretty well on the call, you want these hours to be expansive. If you make it 24 hours, it's probably not believable. Okay, so expansive as much as people could naturally handle, believe. Make sure your website's accurate. Now, let me talk about this for a moment. If your website doesn't match your website that you use for your prospect marketing, then all of your search engine optimization will be terrible. It will all go to hell. It's really critical that you have one website. You can't have multiple websites for a business. You can have separate landing pages for different marketing, so that's a little different subject. But your Google business profile needs to match your website, and your website needs to be connected to your Google business profile. Okay, if you try to do the only way you can have two websites is if you had two physical locations. So there are some tricks we play. In fact, my business, we play some tricks because I have two suite numbers in my business. So I can have two business profiles, and I could have two websites if I wanted. I don't, but if you have like a business where you, let's say you did, you were a bakery and a restaurant, and you wanted two websites for those two separate businesses, you could do that, but you'd have to have two suite numbers and two separate locations. So for anybody that has a little complexity in their business profile, make sure you let me know that when we do our one-on-one, and I can talk about how to do that. But let's go on from there. Make sure your phone number is accurate. Now notice, if you do that correctly, you can get automatically triggered here. Now we're not looking at an iPhone, but this is important because on an iPhone, then they can very frequently, this will be the go-to, and they'll contact you through the iPhone, and we'll come back to that later. This can, again, send to the phone. Probably want to do all the markers. There's no real relevance there, except that, if somebody is LGBTQ, they would be okay with working with your business. You probably need to do that marker. Going down further, questions and answers. I'm going to show you how to put that on. You want to populate this with as much as possible. So rule number one, you should write down, populate with as much as possible. So questions and answers. This has a whole bunch of Q&A that we've added. You guys can feel free to steal mine if you're in my kind of business. If you're not my kind of business, you can make up some frequently asked questions for your type of business. The more you have, the more content will be there, so that it'll rank you higher and it'll get more engagement when people come to your profile. No questions so far? You guys are so quiet. Okay, good. All right, so there's a whole bunch of questions here. These are all ones that we inserted into the profile. People could ask questions, but they generally don't that much. It's more for us to put questions and answers. And then all of our reviews are 5-star. Now, one thing on reviews, you want to answer all reviews, good or bad. So has anybody ever had a bad review? Yeah, I mean, if you're in business, you're going to have a bad review once in a while, just because I've had 17,000 customers at this business. And so, I mean, nobody's perfect. We're going to have some bad reviews. Somebody's going to get mad about something. They're mostly good reviews. I should have a lot more reviews than this. We just haven't been at this location very good at getting them to do enough reviews. Some of you guys probably kicked my butt on this one. So you want more positive reviews, obviously. It's okay to have a few negative reviews. You need to respond to the negative reviews. And I've got kind of a cheat sheet of how we respond, but a negative review response would be something like, maybe they're mad at you and they didn't like how you operated. It would be something to the effect of, and you could write this down, we're really sorry for any misunderstanding. We really want to make sure all of our customers are happy. Please give us a call at our number, and we'll be absolutely happy to fix any problem that you had. See, now I didn't say they were wrong. I didn't say I'm going to refund their money, or I didn't say they're going to, we're going to give them all the money back they lost or anything like that. I didn't say I'm going to, even if they were a complete jerk and it's all their fault and they were really rude. I'm just going to say, really sorry about any misunderstanding. We want all of our customers to be happy. Please give us a call or a number, and we'll make sure that we get everything taken care of. Something to that nature. Then when people are reading the reviews, and perhaps you do want to have a conversation with them, but even if it was all of them and it's just a crazy person that gave a review, maybe it was a competitor that just wanted to make you look bad. Could be a scenario like that. That response then covers it. You really can't get negative reviews removed. Okay. Couple other things on reviews. This isn't, we've done a whole webinar on reputation management. So you can go in more detail in a reputation management webinar. A couple other quick things. Positive reviews you also want to respond to, and I'll give you some examples. here. What's some examples? Let me just click on the more reviews one, and where's our replies? Something like this. It's, if they put their full name, you can do, thanks, Miss, it was Karen Sauer. Thanks, Mrs. Sauer. We love having you guys at our school. Something like that. So the more personal, the better on reviews. Sometimes their names are not recognizable. So you can say, thanks, we love you having you as a student, or we love having you as a customer, something to that nature, so that you can get more content. So remember, what we're trying to do is get more good content in this profile. So think about it like that. We're trying to get more content in the profile.
Had a gun while on drugs. Apparently,
so we got Matt Holker joining us. I'm going to put you on mute, Matt.
Anyway,
so we don't get the background noise. Matt was on there. Glad to have him, but we'll make sure we get less background noise. So here's a bunch of your reviewers can post photos. So here's some photos that are reviewed. Here's a response from the owner and other responses that we're putting, that are going in here. All right. So questions on reviews. Again, we have a whole webinar on reputation management. For all of you guys, getting more reviews is a good thing. And I'm going to show you how to have an easier way to use your profile for that. Okay. Again, make sure you set up that time one-on-one with me. Everybody needs to do that. So we've got a time to review your profile. Okay. I think we've covered all this, so we can go into the details of how to make the changes. If you do this correctly, you will get, of course, they'll also have other searches. So this will be for competitive schools, but you'll get web results from, see if you've done this right. This is the main business. This is the Facebook page for the business. And this is an alternate landing page just I have that's built for some other marketing. This isn't a main website. It's just an alternate landing page. So all of this web result information should be your main website, your Facebook page, and then maybe other blog postings from your business. So if everything's done right, when you look at this web results section, it should be all you. Okay, makes sense? Okay, so let's look at really quick to review. Google search, you want to be the top one in the map, but at least at minimum in the 3 here. Now, if I did a search on, let's say, let me use a competitive keyword that I don't really care about. Maybe it's judo. Judo is for those of you not on martial arts, it's a different type of martial arts. If I did judo in that zip code, I'm still number 1. So I guess it doesn't matter. In fact, I have 2 oh, well, that's my AdWords because I didn't suppress it. So I'm number 1. So I guess I'm still competitive in that. Let me see if I can figure out one that I'm not number 1. So this is a competitive keyword. Nope, I'm still number 1. These guys are paying for an ad for judo, but I'm still number 1. So I don't want to waste a lot of time, but if I wasn't as competitive in an ad in a keyword, then I might be 2 or 3. That's still okay. You don't need to panic, but ideally you want to move up to number 1 in your main keywords for what your business is. If I'm a plumber, maybe I want to make sure, and I specialize in replacing toilets. I want to make sure that toilet repair, I'm number 1. I may not care if I'm number 1 in I don't know, plumbing keywords. We don't have any plumbing clients, but maybe foundation work for plumbing isn't those kind of keywords. I don't care if I'm number 1 in, but I'd still like to move up in some of those. So that's different. All this stuff is different than your regular search stuff. This, like, I'm reviews, I'm number 1, so I'm still number 1 in those. Your regular website stuff is a different conversation. These are 2 separate things. So let's talk about how you get more content, how you put it in here. So this is what you're going to find when you click on the profile. When you click see your profile, you're going to get this. And is everybody using, let me do a little quick survey here. Is everybody using the updates and the products? No? We don't have everybody using updates and products. William, you're not doing that? Okay, so these are two big ones that we're going to cover. This is really critical. And I'm gonna go down these in order. So, hang with me on these last ones. These are critical, real easy ways to do free advertising. Couple rules about this. Now we're going to talk about how to make this profile more robust in about 20 more minutes here. And we'll go quickly through this. So again, set your time up with me one-on-one. I don't know if I've got everybody set up yet. Quite a few of you set your times up with me, but make sure you do get set up with me because this is going to take a time for us to do individual ones. So let's start with your edit profile. So when you click on edit profile, this is going to be your main, some of the stuff that you didn't see in what we just saw. This is all the background stuff. Business name, we talked about. Business category, you click on the little pencil button and you can pick a bunch of different categories. You can add more. I probably need to add more. It used to be you could only do 5. So here's an example of where Google Business Profile changes. It used to be you could only do 5. I could probably add another one. I could probably do Taekwondo school. And save. And then now I've got another one in there that they're going to add. So I'm glad that that's new because I got to show you guys how to do that. So this is very common. We go in and we have my staff once a month goes in and reviews these. That's one that they need to review as well to see if there's additional ones. So these are kind of tricky. How would I know unless I was showing you guys that I could add more categories? So this was good that I was showing you, but you've got to go in on a regular basis and add more content. Okay. And again, that's because Google adjusts what they allow you to put in these profiles. The updates thing that I'm going to mention in a little bit wasn't there. Description, make sure your opening dates as early as possible. This particular unit opened in 2006. All this stuff needs to be up to date. This business location is where you can adjust that point. Now, for some of you, I know that I just talked to the other day, you may not be in a physical location. You may do most of your work by Zoom. For the type of business you're in, it's still better. You still should have a physical address at some point so that Google can locate you, just for Google's purposes. There's your hours where you can change. So for holiday hours as a business decision, we don't change holiday hours because remember, we still want people to call us on Christmas. We'd rather the phone rings. And even if it went to voicemail, because we don't make the staff answer the phone during that time. And then here's all kinds of other things, accessibility, none of these probably change much of your actual customer ranking, but it's better to have, your gender neutral restroom and those kind of things because it helps your Google ranking. LGBTQ friendly helps your Google ranking and those kind of things. So you want to put those in. If you don't feel like it, don't do it. I'm not making any judgment on any of that. So all these things are the same. These are just other parts of the same listing when you scroll down. So that's your basic profile. The reviews is where you can edit, you can add your responses. Okay. I gave myself a review. So that's cool. You can click there to reply. We should be replying to that one. That one's pretty new. If you click on the Get More Reviews button, what it's going to do is give you a link. This is very important. So on the things that we are talking about today, this is on your more important things. I'm going to show you 2 different ways to maximize your reviews. So you can click on this review link. You can just click on this button. It'll copy it. Now you can put this in emails and it'll go directly to the review box. It'll go directly to the review box. So instead of saying, please give us a review on Google, well, what happens? They would have to do a Google search for you, find the thing, click on it, click on reviews. They have to do about 3 or 4 clicks to get to it. This way they can go directly to the Google review. So much, much better. Now I'm going to show you another way that's even better, but this is one way. And then you can click on any of these and directly, if I click on this, it's going to take me to Facebook. And then I'm going to be able to do a post with my review. But that link is magic. So you want to use that link. Here's the photos. Messages is where you can set up, we won't spend time with that. You can set up a link to where you can respond to people sending you messages through that. Depending on your business, this may be valuable or not. In this particular business, we don't find a lot of people sending messages. So photos, let's talk about photos. There's 3 different photos you want to do. One photo is that front of the business photo, which would be your cover. One would be your logo. So, like in this case, I'm not changing it. This allows me to change it. And then the other one would be your regular, like a whole bunch of different photos. You can have photos, preferably of people active in your business. You want to show the business using the bandwagon effect and lots of people in your business. Another type of photo, and I don't know if, I think from this view, I'll have to show you from the other view. Oh, here we go. So the types of photos you want to use, and Rev Marketing does these really nicely. These are Rev Marketing called digital pieces. And these are photos, the photo style that Google really likes now, because it has content in the photo tagged into the photo, and you can see the addresses there, phone number, website address, the logo. My logo happens to be including the website, so it's merged in, and then some sort of content. So now the photo serves as a content piece as well. So you could do that with any business. You could have yourself, if you published a book, like some of you guys have with us, then you could put a copy of your book in there, a picture of you with your book, things like that. So there should be a lot of photos, and the photos should have content in, if you can, and be relevant to what your customer experience would be. Lots of them, and that would be some of the parameters. Questions on those? Yeah, okay. These are just stat things. We don't need to spend time on that. Advertise will take you to the Google AdWords selling point for Google. That's how they make all their money. That was that top section. So that's not part of our thing today. So a couple pieces here. We're going to go through these here now. Products are where, and we've listed these. We've got a couple of these listed on here. I may be able to show you from this view. I'm not sure, but you can add products. So you could add, if you're selling shoes, you could put shoes here. You could put a bunch of them. But for some of you guys, you got service products. You could put, free lessons, put a photo of the lessons, put your category, and you could create a new category, or you could say lessons, price, or free, or you could leave it optional, just leave it out. And then a description of it, you can put up to 1,000 words, and then publish it. When you publish it, there's a time limit on it. So this is why every month or so, I think they give you a maximum of 30 days. Every month you go back to the profile. It doesn't take long. Once you do it once, have it in a little file, copy and paste. So that's what our guys do, is copy and paste it. Services. So these are all the services this particular business has, and you can click more. Okay. So you just add on as many services as you want. These are pretty easy. I'm just going to go through these by order. Bookings allows you to, and this is already on here, but if you can see how there's a link here to a booking page, and you can put a book button. This is already connected, but this is actually what you'll see for you guys, if you don't have one of these. You click the get started button. If I push this, it's going to delete the one that I have on there, so I don't want to do it. But you hit the get started button and allow you to put a button, so that on the profile page, they have a button, and it'll go to whatever link you want with any calendaring system you have. And guys, there's free calendaring systems. Roger, we just talked yesterday about you use a Calendarly, right? So you could have this on your profile. They could click a button and they could set an appointment with you. So for some of you guys, I know a lot of you guys have calendaring systems, super easy to use. And there's Jack D'Souza, good to see you. And super easy to use the calendaring system, and you just put whatever link it is. So whatever button gets pushed goes to your calendar. Just have to make sure that's all set up. So it's real easy to do. Any questions on that? That seemed like it makes sense. Okay. And let me put in chat here that link. to set up with, somebody added some things. How do we choose which, if you, I saw something in chat here. How do we choose which photo to show on the main page next to the map? That's the cover photo that we just went over, Karis. So you don't see a button option to swap out the photo that's shown here. That's when you select the cover page. And you guys just, and I'm putting a link to the meeting with me so that I can work with you individually on it. Hopefully that answered Karis's question. But if you guys put a question in chat, I probably won't see it because I'm kind of going along with this stuff. I don't see the chats over here, so I'm sorry if I missed anything that you guys put in chat. But I just put the link in chat so you can schedule your time with me. And that's free. There's no cost for that. I'll help you with setting up this stuff. But again, that was bookings. Questions about bookings? You basically supply the link and you tell it what button you want to use. That's it. So for calls, this is a really powerful feature. When you turn this on, what will happen is you can set up a special link. Now, I don't have mine turned on because I have a tracking number already set up. My number is a tracking number. If you work with Rev Marketing, you'll have a tracking number that you can that you get. So you wouldn't need this feature. But if you don't work with us, that can be helpful. Q&A is what we talked about already. So this is where it's built out all kinds of different questions and answers like, you know, I want to become calmer and learn to relieve stress. Can you help me? And then there's the answer. Absolutely. And so if you're working in financial services, what are the questions that people typically answer? What are your typical answers just on the phone? If you're working in dance, what are questions people have? What ways do you answer? If you're working in real estate, what kind of questions people have? What are the answers? And for most of you, you can probably look that up from somebody else. Somebody else probably published it, and you can put your own twist on it and make these questions and answers available. This helps with customer engagement, but even more importantly, again, our first goal is to get you in that 3-pack listing, in the first 3 listings. Then we can do other stuff with it. So Q&A is really important. Now let's talk about the two big things. I talked about products, where you can put products, and that's free advertising. The second one is updates. Now, updates are awesome. When you add an update, you can add updates, offers, and events. So all of these things are valuable. Updates would be, you can put, let's say you're doing an event in your business. You're having an open house for somebody, or for whatever you're in real estate, you're selling a property. You could have pictures of the property. You could have come to our property and get all the information about my new the house that's got this, whatever it is. And then the button could be any kind of buttons you want. They can have learn more, and if you do learn more, it can have a link right to the particular place that you want them to go. For you guys, I know we have a lot of martial arts school owners. All of your special events that you do for buddies once a month, you should have, this can be the flyer for that. So a way to look at that, let me cancel out of this. A way to look at that, I think here's some for, these are some old ones. I think I pulled some old ones up in here. So this one's for, this is one that's coming up in July. There's an activity, and if I'm probably clicking on this wrong. In this view, you're only going to see the photo, but in the other view, I can show you, if we get a chance, it's going to show the Nerf War event, and it's going to show, this is 2 weeks free of classes, June 21st to September 21st. In the other view, it shows the button that connects to the website. In this one, it's the event that they're having internally. It's going to show a button that clicks to the website that has a blog post for that event. So there's a landing page for it. So whatever thing you want them to do, maybe you want them to see your webinar on how they should save money. Maybe you want them to do something about, if you're a plumber, I always like the plumber seems funny because I can make jokes about toilets. Maybe if their toilet's broken, you have a webinar about how the first things they ought to do to check to fix it before they call you. Then this could be an update about the new thing we just posted about that. So updates are super powerful. You can, and the key thing is they only last about a month. You have a time limit on them. The updates should have a time limit. The offers, I'm sorry, the products only last a month. You have to update the products. The updates, they last forever. You can add events. So this is end date, start date. These you have a timeline on. So these are all really powerful things. So I invite you to continue to add more things to them on a regular basis. Okay, let me stop and get some questions answered for these things. You guys ought to have some questions at this point. And again, make sure you set up the time with me so I can do your individual work with this.
The numbers of those things you just showed set up affect the ranking?
Well, that's a good question. So let me answer that a couple ways, two different ways. Everything Google does is they don't announce all of their algorithm changes. So they don't tell you or tell us as our technical team, all the different things that they use in their algorithm. The reason is they told us all the things that they use in their algorithm, then we would cheat it all the time. Everybody that's doing web design and everybody that's designing for marketing on Google, we would take advantage of the algorithm and maximize everything to their algorithm. Their job is to make sure they provide the best results possible. If you're searching for, nuts and bolts for your 1975 Chevy Nova, you want to find nuts and bolts for 1975 Chevy Nova, right? You want those results. You don't want to have somebody cheat the algorithm because they think that 45-year-old guys like to work on Chevy Novas, so we're going to show them whatever ad would go to guys that want to, or would be in that demographic, right? So I could make other jokes about that. So, right. So there's Google keeps most of their algorithm under their hat, and they make changes. So when we do design, we have to use they give you main guidelines, but they don't give you exact guidelines. So we don't know the answer to that the more updates you have, the more your ranking goes up. Content wise, they do say that the more content you have, the more it helps your ranking, but we don't have any indication that on updates, it helps your ranking. What the updates and the products are for is so that when you have your listing, so we see your, there we go. Then you see these things here from the owner. We're having on September 30th coming up, we're having this event, right? So it's free advertising for you. That's why you want to have more of those. So we just posted that Nerf War one that I showed you, just posted that earlier, like yesterday or today. So that one won't show up because it's coming up. It's not as prominent. This is the big one that we're doing in September that we're promoting to schools and things. So this one, the karate guys know what I'm talking about this one. This one we've had, this one's a bigger deal. So this one's showing up in front of the other one. I don't see the offer up here. It may be at the bottom. Like I said, when you pull these things up, they're not going to show all of your offers because we got like 4 offers and 4 events on this. It'll pick one to show. So as you're looking and seeing what's Google showing right now, you won't always see the same thing because they're going to serve up whatever offer. So Roger, to answer your question more, hopefully that answered it thoroughly. We don't know. We don't think that changes your ranking. Those more content will, more updates and offers give you free advertising. So that's why we want to do more of those. Does that cover it? Yeah. What other questions on the offers and this, where was I at? This stuff, offers and products. These are ones you want to use a lot for free marketing. Every month, go in and update them. Offers and products. Questions on those? Yeah, I explained it so thoroughly. You have it perfect now. I must have. Okay.
Do we know, you said that it's going to show a different one every time. Do you know what that's based on?
No, that's a good question. It's a good question. No, we don't know what it's based on. It probably just rotates through.
That makes sense.
You don't know whether, there's millions of people searching all the time. So it may rotate one or the other. We don't know what it's rotating through.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. We can't control that because we're not paying for it. Remember, this is your free advertising. Now, why is this free? Somebody might wonder, well, why is Google giving you this for free? Well, Google's giving you this for free because they need the info. They're actually data mining on you as a business. So AdWords, Google doesn't want to give you anything for free. Facebook doesn't want to give you anything for free. I was talking to somebody, Eric, who's on the call today. We were talking about how a few years ago you could do Facebook posts and get business from it. Pretty free. I mean, you could do posting on stuff, you get business for free. The early stages of most of these marketing platforms, you could get business for free by just posting and kind of playing around with it. And that's because they were nascent, they were early in their stages, so they needed to get content, they need to get data, they need to be able to monetize their platforms. If you watch The Social Network, not The Social Dilemma, but The Social Network with Jesse Eisenberg, that was a good explanation of that. You know, when they're early, there starts to be a lot of people on them, but they're not really able to monetize their content yet, then they won't charge you for it. But Google needs this information for you so that it can use it to make sure that they are a good search platform for people. So that when people look for plumbers or fixing toilets, karate, for financial services, for dance schools, for losing weight, for whatever they're looking for, they need this information so they can provide the best results. So let's get to some other points here. If you don't provide the information, and it's not connected to a really robust website that's got good technical scores, so those two things aren't connected, Google can't show your website higher than other websites. Now, think about the logic of that. This is why this is all so critical. If the website is a small website, or what we call a cookie cutter website, so it's just a copy of a copy of a copy that you're very cheap and you're not spending much money on it, frankly, then what happens is Google's going to see your business as this small business. It's going to see it as not a very robust big business because it doesn't have much content, doesn't have much stuff. And if your business profile that's connected to it is also small, doesn't have much stuff, and the information isn't updated a lot, so you don't have more stuff updating on it, then what Google thinks is, well, it's a small business. It's not very engaging. There's not much stuff going on because Google doesn't have anything else to measure. Google can't tell otherwise. It's not really like Google's trying to downgrade you. You could be a really thriving, good business, but Google wouldn't know anything else. Okay, so that's how it's got to look at it. So what we do know, even though we don't always know every detail about Google's algorithm, what we do know is adding more content and continually updating it on both the website and the business profile. Those two things are interrelated, very important. And that's always going to be pretty consistent. So those things are very important, and that will impact, as you remember, I drew the this triangle, or the pyramid, I guess, the website and Google Business Profile, and then everything else online and offline are going to be, if these work better, then all this other stuff's going to work better. So that's what we need to make sure is functional. So that's how we can get this to work better. So make sure you click, set up the time with me. Don't forget, it's in the chat link there. And what other questions do we have as we start wrapping up today? Because I don't want to go over time. And we get to I have a couple other things I want to cover before we wrap up today on other things that we could make sure we cover next time when we do your one-on-ones. Other things, questions? No? Okay. Two other quick things, other shiny objects that might be out there that you do want to pay a little bit of attention to. Let me see if I can find my example of it. So if you guys can see this, this is your listing on Apple Business Connect. So very similar to Google Business Profile, Apple Business Connect is kind of Apple's version of this. Now, it's not anywhere as big as Google Business Profile, not anywhere near as important as Google Business Profile, but it's another one that's pretty easy to set up. We don't have enough time to go into all the details. It's a very similar thing. I can help you with this a little bit at your one-on-one. So make sure, again, you set that time up with me. What Google Business Profile does, it looks a lot, Apple Business Connect looks a lot nicer. What it'll do is it takes reviews off of Yelp. So Yelp is an important platform for you to have because Apple Business Connect uses it. You can see I'm using the same photos and it's got a lot of the similar characteristics. We need to get more Yelp reviews, and I'll show you a little bit of how to do that. Upload an offer event. Karish, you got to talk, man. I'll never find you. Okay, you found it. So somebody keeps putting chats on. I apologize. I got distracted. But Apple Business Connect is another one. One last thing that I want to make sure that we do cover before we wrap here. That's the wrong page. Let's see here. Here it is. So on this page, you'll also see Local Trust Navigator for reviews. So if you want to get more reviews, make sure you also you can write this down, localtrustnavigator.com. And this is a way that you can get more reviews. You can see this is one of our clients, Travis Took. So you guys know him. He got reviews on Local Trust Navigator, which is a review platform, but it also has the feature of you can click leave Google review and it'll take you right to Google. Remember how you could use that link? You've got one platform then where you can get Google reviews from. And then Yelp reviews, leave Yelp review, it'll take you right to the Yelp platform. So now you can get Yelp, Google, and Local Trust Navigator reviews, the three big review platforms, from one site that you send to your clients. You send one link to them, all three platforms get reviews, and that helps increase your ranking and increase your profile with Google Business Profile, with Yelp, and with Local Trust Navigator. And then they all will show up on your searches to help you get more traffic everywhere. So, all right, well, we're about done with our time. Any last questions?
Yes, sir. Will there be a recording of this? Unfortunately, I was in another meeting and I jumped in late, so.
Well, so my answer on recordings is that there may be. It depends on whether the recording turns out. I can never quite guarantee whether there's a recording because, so it's always a risk on the recordings, but I'll try to get that to you, Jack. Make sure you set up the time for your one-on-one so we can go over again. I know I keep kind of beating a dead horse on that, but it's the only way I can really look at your individual ones. When you go look at your Google business profiles, because of Google, it'll probably look a little different, unfortunately. Almost every time I look at mine, there's some new feature they add. There's some new way that the interface looks. So I've given you enough tools so that you can navigate it, hopefully, and then every month go back to it and go, oh, hey, that's different, and then add more stuff. So this is once you get doing it, once you get it set up, and once I help you set it up, then once a month going and updating it isn't really that big a deal. You'll get used to it. It'll take you 5-10 minutes every month. Not a big deal. And then you'll get a lot better results. It's worth your time, worth your effort. And you'll hopefully we've reviewed enough. And I think you've got enough background now that you don't have to be a technical expert. You can just go in there and just make sure it's up to date. So a lot of it we can do for you. Make sure you set up the time. We're going to give you a review of not your website. It says website, but your Google business profile. And we're going to do all this stuff for you as well, and give you some marketing stuff when you do set that time up with us. So make sure you remind me of this at your one-on-one, and we'll give you our free book as well. So we're going to do this next month on the third Wednesday of the month too. So put that on your calendar, same time. It's 3 p.m. Eastern, whatever time zone you're in, 3 p.m. Eastern. And we'll do a different topic that'll help your business and help you grow your revenues 50%. So look forward to seeing you on your one-on-ones. If anybody, I'll stay a little bit longer if anybody has any last questions.
I have one question, Greg.
Sure.
Is there any benefit of doing this before the website's set up?
You can do it anytime. Yeah, I know we're going to build your website and we're going to talk about that in a few days, but you can do this anytime. It's independent. What you do need is, in fact, it'd be good to do before your website, because when we build your website, we do need to connect the two. We do need to connect the two. And we had one of our clients not have their Google business profile set up a couple of years ago, and or they actually set up wrong, and they changed their website on their Google business profile to another link. It wasn't their website that we built for them, and their website traffic just collapsed. And we were trying to figure out what was wrong. And finally we realized they had changed it on their profile. It's a dramatic difference if you don't have both of those connected. It can make a big, hurt you really bad. So both of those things need to work. Both of those things need to work together. But yeah, you don't have to wait, Roger. So yeah, anytime. And so everybody, get that connected. If you're a completely non-brick and mortar business, you can still get one, and the location can just be like your PO box or something. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, good work today. Hopefully covered all your questions. Set up your one-on-ones, and I'll look forward to seeing you individually. We'll give you some free stuff as well. So I hope everybody had a good time today, and see you next time.